Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Malebo Malope and this is My Journey to Greatness. My Journey to Greatness is a YouTube series that I started where I interview young people that are actually doing very well in their fields, and just to inspire you, just to motivate you, and actually to give you an idea of what is out there and the things that people are actually doing. So in today's episode, I have a woman, which I'm very happy about, a black woman, the first black genetic counselor in South Africa, who is Malebo Malope. Welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. You really pump us up.
That's not even half of it. Like, you've done incredible thing. And if you guys have been following My Journey to Greatness, I've spoken about her a lot, because she has made an impact in my life personally. And also the things that she's done, she is a motivation, especially to most people that did medical science in TAF. Like, you were one of the first people who went out there, went to UCT, and were like, okay, this is actually possible. And that was really inspirational. So Malebo, tell us about yourself.
So I like, what is Surat in English? I never know the word, but firstly, I did this previously, and I realized it's very important to introduce myself as Wana Marana Koshola Madumela Koreto, which is Surat Sakorai for our surname, which is, I think it embodies what me and my cousins are and like our parents are, which we always very, I think, hardworking. And when we really want something, we go out for it. We don't let it defeat us, if that's the correct English word. So that's me. And I grew up in Krugersdorp, so that is the West Rand of Joburg. And I went to school there in Krugersdorp. And well, I stayed in Kakeso, then stayed in Krugersdorp, but it's the same area.
So you're from Gauteng?
Yes, that's
so
where I was born. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you know, Risha, the thing is, we're black, right? You can be born in Gauteng, but home is in Limpopo.
Yeah.
And I did stay there for a few years. So it's not like I've never stayed in Limpopo. I stayed there for a few years. Kuchojwana, which is, like, if you go to Begasfort or Oorigstad, then if you ask people where is Gauteng, they'll direct you. It's very rural. And I've stayed there before. So that's why that is also home. And then I went to school there, and then I went to University of Limpopo. So I think that's about it. Now I'm a genetic counselor.
The first black genetic counselor. That's very important. Anyways, I want to know, like, how did you know you wanted to do medical science when you in varsity? How was that like for you?
Maybe let me start in high school, because you know, when you're growing up, everyone will be like, oh, what, and all you know is like doctor. I mean, even TV actually doesn't show many careers. It's only starting now that sometimes on TV they'll show a geneticist or like a research scientist or whatever, but generally they were not showing a lot of things, we must be honest. So I knew I really wanted to work and help with people, but obviously we knew being a doctor. So growing up, I thought I wanted to be a doctor. And that's what I always said. And I think I sort of kept to that up until I was in, I don't remember if it was in grade 11 or matric, when I went to my first, what is those university? Open days.
Yeah.
And went to one at Wits, and I went to the health sciences one. And they had all these careers there that I didn't really know about. I mean, I knew about a physiotherapist and an audiologist, and I knew I didn't want to be those. But then they had occupational therapy. And I remember this very well, because I was like, actually, maybe this is what, you know, when you hear about it, you're like, okay, maybe I really like this. But then I also just then stuck to thinking that I want to do medicine. And I was told that, no, Malebo, if you change to all the other different kinds of health sciences and not be the doctor, you'll never feel fully satisfied. I don't know why people think that. And then I was like, okay, then I just applied to, like, I think 2 universities. They didn't take me for medicine. And my other option was accounting, I think, and I think UP. Did they take me for accounting at UP? Maybe they did. But then I went to University of Limpopo to do medical sciences, and my aunt helped me because she was once there. And that time was still.
So you did like a late application?
Yes, January. And the nice thing is that time University of Limpopo was still doing late applications, and they still had spots. You know, unlike now, it's hard to get space now. Then I did medical sciences, and then I knew when I was doing first year that no, I don't want to do medicine. But I continued with medical sciences, and only in fourth year, in my honors year, I think that's when I asked my supervisor, Prof. Kate Scholz, I was like, what can I do that puts together genetics and like working with people in counseling? And she's like, oh, there's genetic counseling, and she told me about it. And I tell you, Rachel, at that moment, I knew for a fact in my heart, in my head, that this job is what is, like, I was made to do this job. Like, this is me and my route, and I'm done. Like, I didn't need any more
you were
convincing.
so sure about that.
Yes, and I'm still sure till today.
Wow.
That's how I knew about genetic counseling. So then I applied. Then I got it.
Wow. Okay. Like, you have actually like summarized your whole like academic life. Okay, so I want us to take us back now. So you wanted to do medicine initially, and then you realize it's not actually what you want, and then you go to UL to do medical science. When you got to UL to do medical science, did you choose medical science, that this is what I want, or was it a thing of that's where the sport was? Did you know what medical science was?
Not exactly, but my aunt did medical science.
Oh.
So I kind of had an idea, and I remember in matric, my cousin and I proofread her thesis, a PhD thesis.
Wow.
The whole entire thing, and my cousin also helped to proofread. So we were both given 2 different tasks on the thesis. I think she had to check all the references and certain things. That also takes a lot of time. So I think I had an idea of the science and all of that, but because she had done medical sciences, and she was like, okay, because you had said you wanted to do medicine, do medical sciences, you will see afterwards. And obviously my mom is always supportive, so she's like, okay, get space. I remember this time very well, because you know when you have supportive parents, it's very important.
Yeah, it is.
My mom is super supportive. I remember after my cousin and I did late application, we used to need to go to TEF every single day because we stay in Polokwane. So every single day, wake up in the morning, my mom drives us. Every single morning. I think even by the time we registered and everything, she was driving us to TEF every single day. She took leave to ensure that these kids are sorted.
Oh,
wow. And she's been very supportive from day one. So that's but when I got into medical sciences, it started to make sense, because what people don't realize is when you're doing postgraduate things related to medical sciences, you have to start at the BSc. You can't just all of a sudden be at like genetic counselling is only offered as master's level. Yeah. You can't be a genetic counsellor from undergraduate degree. So I think it was good and a good foundation for me to be in, especially because I did genetics in 4th year, which was great. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, so I want to know, like, why did you not change medical science when you got in initially? Was it now, like, I know that your aunt did medical science, did it now turn into something that you wanted? Why did you not go and do like the other courses that you had in mind when you were doing your high school?
Like what?
Like, remember you said that you want to do physiology, occupational therapy.
Yeah. So that's not a TEF, and originally I didn't apply for it because when I gave the idea to someone, they're like, no, you won't be happy there, not doing medicine, because you always spoke about medicine. So there wasn't occupational therapy at UL. But then I continued with medical sciences, because in my head what it was is, this is the path that God has chosen for me. And I wasn't hating it, I was actually really enjoying it. Okay, after first year is not nice, guys, because you're doing maths. You're doing maths and physics and chemistry. You don't have the feeling of the degree yet, but that's general for all degrees across the board, where first year you're still doing certain modules, but usually second year you sort of get into it. And when you get into it, you're like, no, but I really enjoy this. I really love knowing about how the body works. I love knowing about 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I continued with it because I didn't hate my degree, and I didn't even have a feeling of uncertainty, you know, because because my whole life I've always learned that everything is in God's hand and He really sorts you out with when you put all that trust. So I never had uncertainty. I was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do when I finish. I have a few ideas, but God will direct me to where I need to.
So you always had that thing that God is the one that is driving me, like wherever that it takes me, that's where like that is very powerful.
Yeah, but you must just work hard. There's a difference. God can give you things, or you pray for things, but you can't say, Risho, I want a car, but you're not getting a driver's license, you haven't gotten your learner's license yet, you're not saving money for a car. Like, you can at least say, God, hey, I've saved 50,000, please help me find a car of my value, you know? So that's what I think sometimes we don't understand in life, that yes, I'm praying that God can give me something, but while I am waiting, what am I doing in preparation for where I want God to take me? So you always need to have that in mind, I think. Well, that's me. Yeah.
Okay, so now I want to talk about now your journey in medical science, and I'm so glad because I feel medical science is very interesting, especially if you learned like your life sciences back in high school, like when you learn about the anatomy of the body, the biochemistry of the body, the physiology of it all. So how was the studying part, and like how did you find the course itself? Was it hard? Was it easy? Is it something that anyone can do? Like, how was it for you?
I think I was always like a normal student in the middle. I think first year was a bit tricky and odd, but also maybe it wasn't, thinking about it, maybe because our first year classes, I don't know when you did first year, but in maths there's this venue, guys, at University of Limpopo. It's the biggest venues. We would be so full, there were people sitting on the stairs and people outside, because there's also people repeating. So when we're doing those modules, I guess I wasn't being taught in a way I can understand, and then I was fine. Chemistry was never my strength, I'm not gonna lie. Even in high school, I didn't do well. I did better in physics than I did in chemistry, section of physics.
So rare. Like most of us are good in chemistry, and physics is just like something else.
No, in high school you have physics and they divide into the physical and the science and the chemistry. So the chemistry, for some reason, I always struggled, but then and then it whooped me in first year, which is fine. I think I was feeling very sad, but my mom was so supportive, and she's like, no man, everyone fails, just go do your year and move on with life. It just because you have to repeat a module doesn't mean that you're a failure in life. Just repeat. A lot of people repeat, and I think that gave me a lot of encouragement. And while repeating that year was, anyway, at some point when I was repeating, because this added an extra year, it mixed up my modules. But anyway, I was also working as an anatomy lab assistant.
And that's nice.
Yeah. So I found something else to do on campus except repeat a module, because I need to be a bit busy. But what was funny is once we moved into a little bit of the smaller classes, I did much better. When it was mainly just medical science students and sometimes others, because I was doing well in biochemistry. Like, people don't know. Even in third year medical biochemistry, I did very well. And if I wasn't going to do genetics, I would have probably done that from someone who didn't understand chemistry.
And now to do well in biochemistry.
Yes. So it was, but I think what university is all about is finding yourself, and who you are and what you want to do. Maybe you get there in first year, you're not too sure, but work on it. Don't just do other things and be upset all the time and all of that. And it's not easy.
But what do you mean work on it? Like, because there's a lot of people young people that they don't know where they're going. Like, what steps did you take when? I know, like, you talked about God, but what do you mean work on it?
Firstly, if you're sort of struggling academically, don't just sit there and be like, I'm really, really struggling. I know in third year genetics, when we started with genetics was in third year. In the beginning, I didn't understand something, like I didn't understand actually. And then I had someone who's like, no man, I'll teach you genetics. And I was committed, guys. Every single day I went and I was being tutored genetics.
Teaching you genetics.
It's a friend. Every single day. For a year, it's a semester course. So every single day I was going to my genetics classes, and you have to be committed though, you know. So if you really want to do that career but you're struggling, find someone in the class. Yeah, sometimes people will be like funny and they don't want to teach you. Find somebody else. It's fine, it's life. Rejection is real.
Yeah.
If you haven't figured out what you like to do and you can't decide in whatever course you're registered for example, if I was going to be registered for BSc agriculture, for example, and I knew that this is not where I want to be, but I still don't know where I want to be.
Yeah.
While you're in agriculture, find what you enjoy about it. Find, okay, what is here in agriculture that I really enjoy? Do I like plant production? Do I like this? Do I like this? And maybe I should major in what I actually enjoy. Because sometimes we spend so much time trying to figure out, oh, I hate being here, and you do so bad and you keep repeating modules that you could have taken an opportunity to. While I'm still figuring myself out, let me at least try to do better at this. Don't let it drain you and take away the little bit of joy you could have, because you'll surprise yourself. I met people who just started a plain BSc and then they went to do aquaculture in their honors, but they worked on to find out, what do I actually like in this BSc? I don't know what it is, but in that BSc, and they actually figured they like plants, but they like fish and how fish are produced and how it needs to be sustainable in our country and all of those things, right? And sustainable fishing is a big thing. So they went and majored in aquaculture.
Yeah.
But until you make that decision that I'm an adult, number one, I'm gonna get it together. I still don't know what I am doing, but what I'm doing in the process, let me do it well to my best of my abilities. I think that's working on it, and you'll figure it out as you go.
I hear that, and I think that is very important. And if you find something that you like, at least it lights up every other aspect of your life as well. Yeah, that is very powerful. So now, how did you coming to Cape Town? How is that about now? Like, how was the process applying for genetic counselling? Like, which institutions did you apply to?
So at the moment, you can only do genetic counselling at UCT or at WITS.
Yeah.
So I applied to WITS, and I think about this because I was like, hey, this girl, what did she have a trust in? Because this is what happened. I applied to WITS. WITS were not aware that our BSc Medical Sciences from University of Limpopo is an honors equivalent.
Yeah.
So they just said, you don't meet minimum requirements, sorry, we reject you. Do you guys know that I didn't even feel that rejection? I was like, I'm going to UCT anyway.
And like you wanted them to reject you so you can go to
No,
UCT.
but at that time, UCT hadn't even responded. UCT applications close later, and because they close later, they respond later. But for some reason in my heart, I had faith that it's just WITS. They just said no, it's fine, you know. And then I moved on. I didn't even feel the pain. Few weeks later, then I got a call from UCT or an email, I can't remember, and they're like, hi Malebo, can you please just confirm about your course? Is it a 4-year, what, and then I confirm, and then they call me again, and then I got an interview. And I remember the day they told me that I got into the program, because I think I'd written an exam on that day.
Sure.
And they told me, and I was like, yes, I was so happy. Like, you know, after writing an exam, the genetics exam, it was intense.
Was it like the final exam? Sure.
It was after writing the final exam, but before our research work, presentation stuff. So after writing that exam, I even remember, for those who know University of Limpopo, there's a gate called Gate 2, that's the pedestrian gate, and there's a complex next to it, so I was walking by the complex. And when I came back, so remember you don't have your phone during exams, so when I left the exam, while walking, going to the complex, when I switch on my phone, I see missed calls. I'm like, yo, this is the office in UCT. And I tried to call back, and then she wasn't in the office. Yeah. So when she came back in the office, she then said to me, oh, I just wanted to tell you that you got not the job. You got the master's position. And I was incredibly happy. And I think, and then at that moment, then I communicated with her a lot more about other things.
Okay.
But I can tell you when I got accepted, maybe I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm that kind of student. I went and asked her that, I'm like, can you please send me the course booklet. Can you please send me this? And before I even went to Cape Town, I had read the whole course booklet.
Wow.
I read everything that is expected of me, all the assessments we need to do, what HPCSA is, and the requirements for that. Because I asked her for it after I had been accepted into the program to prepare myself.
So did you know exactly what you were going to do in genetic counselling?
I had a good idea, but the reality is very different, but very different in the best way possible.
Oh, okay. So tell me, like, what do you do, like, as a genetic counselor, like, on a day-to-day basis?
So we see patients, of some we call clients, depending, but I'm just going to use patients for this explanation. So we see patients who are at risk of or have a genetic condition or have a family member with a certain condition that they're worried about. Our clinics, so in South Africa, the difference is from what I've learned about the training in overseas is that we don't just focus and specialize in one form of or one field of genetic counseling. We do them all.
Okay.
It's private genetic counselors who can choose that I only want to do prenatal, I only want to do adults. So we do prenatal.
Okay, so there's prenatal, there's adults, and what?
There's prenatal, adults, cancer.
Oh, okay.
I think that's about it. The adult has and pediatrics. Pediatrics. So different genetic counselors can choose. You can even work for a place where they only do cancer, only do this. But in state hospitals, we see all patients. So you see patients who are pregnant or planning a baby, that's in our prenatal. And it can be for anything with things like advanced maternal age. So when a mom is pregnant and she's much older, we talk about that and what that means for a child and risks for that. If they detect anything on ultrasound like abnormalities, we would talk to the couple or the potential parents. Adult is conditions that usually are adult onset, and there's many of them in different sections. We have cancer. Cancer can fall under adult, but I think because cancer is such a big deal, it's sort of separate. So cancer would include things like breast cancer, especially if you're at a young age or if it runs in the family, colon cancers, and there's many different kinds of cancers. So we'd see people, either they have it and what we would consider younger, or they have like an extensive family history of people who've had cancers, and we would help to assess that and explain and offer genetic testing if we need to. And then pediatric is all for the conditions that start in childhood that are genetic. So
like, for example, if maybe I have a child who may have like a genetic disorder, let's say like trisomy 21, what's Down syndrome?
Yes.
So I'd bring my child and then...
So if your child is diagnosed with Down syndrome, then we as the genetic counselors are going to sit with you and talk to you and say, well, your child, explain what Down syndrome is first, because that's the most important thing. Parents need to know, what is it? How did it come about? Are there chances that I have other children with the same condition? Which is what we need to explain, because people are usually worried about that. For my future children, is this going to happen again? But I think the most important thing that we do is the psychosocial stuff. So the counseling part, where we're helping you to adapt to this new diagnosis, help you to deal with any fears or concerns or uncertainty that you may be facing, or any other, people have a lot going on in general, and now we're going to come and add this on to you. We have to help you accept it, or lead you on a journey to acceptance, because it takes time sometimes to accept. So the psychosocial part is the really counseling, getting into it, dealing with the patient issues and any concerns that they might have. And from time to time, then we have to refer to a support group. For the ones who we feel would really benefit a support group. Others, depending, because people have different things that are going on, others may need referral to psychology for more counseling.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. Please look out for part 2 of my journey to greatness with Malebo.